Our top story today at thegatewaypundit.com, Hakeem Jeffries makes a disturbing remark while sounding off on President Trump. It's time to fight his agenda in the streets. We're talking about this story and so much more here on the Gateway Pundit's Week in Review. My name is Elijah Schaffer, and this is the Week in Review, where we cover the top 5 stories of the last 24 hours. Being it's the end of the week, these videos will be a little bit shorter than normal, but the stories are just as important as ever. Hakeem Jeffries makes a disturbing remark while sounding off on President Trump. It's time to fight his agenda in the streets. Check this out. Well, it turns out that House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries made a disturbing statement on Friday that sounded like he was calling for an insurrection against Trump, just months after the 47th president was nearly assassinated. As The Hill reported, Jeffries and Congressional Black Caucus Chairwoman Yvette D. Clarke held a press conference Friday morning, a day after President Trump sounded off on the tragic plane crash at Ronald Reagan National Airport near Washington and signed an executive order to investigate Joe Biden's diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. As expected, Jeffries and the CBC smeared Trump as a bigot. Wow. Not actually surprised there. Rather than engaging in actual thought, calling his remarks a truly disgusting and disgraceful display of racist political prognostication. It's a big fancy word there. During his own rant against Trump, Jeffries made what some would consider a threat against Trump that would likely prompt a visit from the FBI if a Republican had said it. So check this out. Here's the threat that he made. Watch this video here, and you tell me what you think. What do you mean by this?
We are going to fight it legislatively. We are going to fight it in the courts, and we're going to fight it in the streets.
What does he mean by that? Fight it on the streets, huh? Could mean whatever, protesting. This could be problematic. This could be him talking about, more BLM type nonsense. I mean, who knows? But we know exactly what he's talking about. Now, before we jump into further stories, I got to ask you a question. Have you ever wondered what happened to legendary Chuck Norris? Well, listen to this. I recently just saw a video that he made, and I was shocked. He's in his 80s, and he's still kicking butt and working out and staying active. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this by just making one change. He says that he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she's never felt better. She says that she feels 10 years younger, her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Now, Chuck made a special video that explains everything. Make sure that you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/pundit. That's chuckdefense.com/pundit, or by clicking on the link below this video. It'll change the way that you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/pundit, and click the link in the description below to watch the video. You won't believe how simple it is and how his method can cause you to get your energy back today at chuckdefense.com/pundit. Click the link, watch the video. If you got to do anything else, I'm telling you to do that right now. That being said, Wayne Root reported that here is the best explanation I've heard from the crash at Reagan Airport from an experienced Blackhawk pilot and crew chief. Listen to this. My longtime friend is a retired colonel in the U.S. Army who served in the roles of both Blackhawk helicopter pilot and Blackhawk crew chief as well. No one knows this helicopter better than my friend. Let's call him Colonel Joe. We've all seen the reports about the mistakes made in this tragic crash, and we know that the chopper was flying too high. We know that the control tower was short of air controllers, and one controller was doing the job of two. It appears the Blackhawk was off course as well. And we all suspect DEI could have been at fault, whether this involved the pilots, flight commanders, and the ground. Reminding you guys, though, the DEI was involved because the air traffic controllers literally did deny certain white men jobs to be air traffic controllers for FAA based on their white skin. That's why I'll never stop advocating for white people and men, particularly white men. Call me a racist, call me discriminatory, but you know what? White men have been getting discriminated against. I'm actually a civil rights icon. That's the truth. I fight for those who are discriminated against. He said Colonel Joe is an expert. Colonel Joe said, executive summary, these are his words. He said, the single greatest error in the accident was the decision to fly without a second crew chief on the left-hand side of the Blackhawk, who could have provided an extra seat of eyes to look out and up to see the approaching American Airlines passenger plane. Night vision goggle flights result in a sort of tunnel vision for all who wear the NVGs. A normal policy in many Army flight units is to force a full crew of 2 pilots and 2 crew chiefs for all NVG flights, so that you always have eyes out to both sides of the aircraft when flying in these conditions. While not mandatory, it is the proper safety call, especially when flying in the vicinity. So he says that he thinks the issue was that there was no flight crew on the right-hand side. Do you believe that? Do you buy that? Do you agree with that? Do you think there was something more suspicious going on here? I feel like the fact that we're writing this off and there's no investigation does leave more questions than answers, but I'll let you decide. Additionally, billionaire Nicole Shanahan puts far-left Senator Warnock on notice, vows to correct her massive mistake in funding his campaign. I'll be correcting that massive mistake ASAP, Jim Hoff reports. Billionaire philanthropist Nicole Shanahan has put far-left Senator Raphael Warnock on notice following his critical stance against Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s nomination as Secretary of Health and Human Services. She also said, I'm voting no on Mr. Kennedy's, or he said, I'm voting no on Mr. Kennedy's nomination to lead. He wouldn't comment. Check this out. He wouldn't commit to working to prevent healthcare premium spikes. Well, Shanahan, who has previously bankrolled Democrat campaigns, including Warnock's own, fired back with a scathing response. Check this out. We have the full video for you here where we can talk about this. She wrote on Twitter that she was totally against him and everything that he stood for. I guess we'll read you the transcript. Man, I do regret ever helping you. The only reason you're in that seat is because I sent massive financial support to Shirley Sherrod's C4 to mobilize Georgia during the 2020 runoff. I'll be correcting that massive mistake ASAP. You're awful. So, look, she did talk about this, but the reality is Democrats are in office and so are Republicans because of the donations of billionaires. And when they stop giving money to these people, well, what happens to their campaigns? They eventually just go nowhere. So we might see a massive shift towards Republicanism, but also it's not really a good thing necessarily because, well, we will see more Republicans. They're going to be more liberal than ever. So we basically got the liberal billionaires, and they're now controlling our party. So take with that what you must, but it is what it is. Now, that being said, all 6 executive assistant directors and 25 special agents in charge of the FBI are out, according to FBI Whistleblower. Well, it turns out that while the incoming FBI director, Kash Patel, sat in front of Senate subcommittee for his hours-long confirmation hearing yesterday, the house cleaning was well underway. According to a CNN report, at least 6 FBI leaders have been removed or told to resign by Monday. This adds to the purge that took place this week at the Department of Justice, the National Labor Relations Board, and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. It turns out here that at least a dozen employees at the DOJ were fired on Monday, mainly those involved in the political prosecutions levied against President Trump during the pause between his administrations. Like, what do you expect, right? People were put into office, appointed into positions of power, and they used their power to persecute someone like Trump. You don't think he would at least fire them? At least you're not going to be able to get your, cushy government job and pension. And good riddance. Let them be gone, right? These people have no authority, no position, no place to be where they're at. I really do hope and I wish that they become something more than they are today, which is traitors to our country. Lastly, Valentine, American Oversight anti-Trump leftist NGO network, was uncovered. Listen to this. This week, the American Oversight organization announced that it will be gathering data to investigate President Trump and challenge some of his actions. It also comes against Pam Bondi for Attorney General. What you are seeing is another leftist NGO tied to over 100,000 other leftist NGOs that funnel money back and forth to interfere in elections and obstruct conservative elected officials. As usual, the organization has a name that hides its deep leftist roots. If you visit the website and affiliated NGO sites, it is described as a nonpartisan organization. The question comes down to who funds this group. Well, you can find out more directly at thegatewaypundit.com. I'll leave you on that cliffhanger. The link's in the description. I encourage you to read these articles yourself. I'm Elijah Schaffer. Have a great rest of the week, as always. Don't forget, which we don't, actually, hold on. Don't forget to sign up for our mug club. Get this great mug. You can support our network. You get a mug. You join the club, and you support thegatewaypundit.com. Have a great rest of the week. May God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.